Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Okay, with Titan FC 36 around the corner, we are joined by Grant Dawson. Thank you very much, obviously, for coming on, Grant, giving us some of your time to chat. You have got yourself a hell of a fight against Dave Burrow, and I'm quite looking forward to this matchup simply because it could be a very grand affair in the submission grappling art.
But man, he better hope it doesn't go there, because I mean, that's where he's strong, but that's where I'm stronger. I mean, that if his plan is to take me down and go jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu, he's gonna be sorely disappointed. That's for sure.
I have to say, it's very much, when I was writing a game plan against you, I'd probably avoid the ground, and I would probably work a lot on my neck muscles. I'd make my traps so big that you couldn't physically get your arm around my neck, because it's somehow, you do favour being people's back. You're like a backpack, you like to get on people's backs, and you do wrap your hands around their neck very often, it seems.
Yeah, I got a foolproof system. I punch them in the face until they decide they don't like that anymore, and then they give me their back, and then I choke them out. So it's been working for me so far, so I'm going to keep doing it. And if he decides he doesn't want to give me his back, he just wants to keep getting punched, that's fine too by me.
And then I see as well, you ventured away from the rear naked choke, and you did finish a fight without one, which that must have been a bit weird for you.
Yes, I did finish one with an armbar, but actually, I mean, the rear naked choke is my best move in the cage, quote unquote. But I barely train it in the gym. I'm always hitting triangles, arm bars, arm triangles, all this, all these kind of submissions. I really kind of like to stay away from the rear naked choke. Actually, I mean, to be honest, it's my least favorite move. I feel like it's really basic and really simple, but I mean, if people keep giving it to me, I'm going to keep taking it.
Yeah, it is. I think with like you said, I think with MMA though, in a fight, sometimes, do you know what, I'll say it. Sometimes guys will give up the back, and sometimes, when they are maybe getting the hell beat out of them, and they're losing a lot of their soul. I'm not saying they give their neck, but sometimes they don't. They just some guys want a way out. You've seen it in high level in the UFC, where sometimes you can see a guy wants a way out, and he'll maybe leave a little gap there to kind of say, if you put your arm there, it slips in. And you know what? It's just the way it goes sometimes, and maybe that's why the rear naked choke appears for you, because like you say, when you punch him in the face, they don't like it, and they just think, do you know what? I'd rather you put your arm around my neck than punch me in the face, because it feels a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of two fights. I mean, everything you said is perfect. My last fight, actually, I mean, when I'm completely honest with myself, and when I really watch the video, I think, man, I don't even think that rear naked choke was that deep. I think he just wanted me to stop hitting him. Because, I mean, I fought a guy named Andrew Carrillo, and, I mean, I took him down, and I was beating him up, and finally he just gave me his back, and I sunk in my choke, and he was tapping before I was squeezing.
Oh man, that's him just wanting to get out of there, get paid and go home. Yeah.
But a win. I mean, I don't care if you give up because I'm punching you. If you give up because the choke's in, it doesn't matter to me.
Oh yeah,
as long
you
as
won.
You're giving up, and I'm winning.
Hell yeah, I agree. I imagine as well then. Confidence does fly high coming into this fight. You get to showcase yourself on, I say, a higher stage. You're coming onto the Titan FC card and the promotion, and as well you get that exposure with the UFC Fight Pass, and I think that's partly why I'm quite looking forward to this matchup. Like you say, there's such a skill set there. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing it. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong. I'm sure you'd like to go in there. You'd like to punch him in the face once, and he goes to sleep, and you get to go home. I'm sure everyone would like that. But me, I want to see your skill set on the ground. Because you've been getting these submissions. I want to see how you set it up. I'll be selfish, because I find even not just a rear naked choke, but I like to see guys, if they are got the high grappling. I like to see how they set things up. I like to, because each one's got their own way of doing it. Some guys incorporate a lot of wrestling. Some guys, try to keep it pure jiu-jitsu as they can, and I like to see that. I like to see how they'd work it. And you're fighting a guy who's experienced. He's got a lot of fights under his belt. So I think this is great. It's a great test for you to see, how you can work your skill sets, and if you can block maybe a couple of your kind of moves and see how you kind of work a way to maybe counter him. And I'm looking forward to that happening.
Yeah, I think that one thing you said, some guys like to stick to the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling, and that's where they prefer, but I think one thing about this fight is you're going to really see my MMA skill. I mean, I don't think this is going to be a wrestling match or a jiu-jitsu match. I think this is going to be an MMA fight. I'm going to be completely honest. I think I beat this guy everywhere. I think I have better stand-up than him. I think I have better wrestling, and I think I have better jiu-jitsu. So it's really a pick your poison for him. Wherever he wants to go, I mean, that's cool with me. If he wants to stay standing and let me punch him in the face and elbow him and knee him, that's going to be great. And then when I get tired of doing that, I can take him down, punch him again, and then submit him. But this really is going to be an MMA fight, And he's very well rounded. Also, I mean, he's got a really good armbar, but he's not afraid to stand and bang with people. So that's good too. I mean, that's really going to show, who's the better MMA fighter here.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this for you as well. It will really start. It will really get an idea. You'll get a gauge of where your skill set is at, because I think, like I said, because he is, so he's very well rounded. He's got a lot more experience under his belt. It's a great chance. I think it's a great moment for you in that sense of, if you go in there, you get this guy, you get the finish, or even if you get a good 3 rounds in you, which is, I think, you can't put a price on 15 minutes in the cage with someone. You can get a lot out of that. And it's great going in and getting a first round finish, but if you get 15 minutes under your belt, there's so much you can look back on. Footage, you can work on stuff that weren't working, things that did work well, you can maybe progress that. It's, so if you go out there, get this victory, in whichever form you do, you can then start to say, right, I know my skill set is legit. I know against a guy who's got a lot of, he's got a lot of wins, he's got a lot of experience. I know now that I'm ready to push myself against those guys, the better guys, the higher level. And with Titan FC, you can get matched up with them. You can get yourself matched up against some talented guys in that division.
Yeah, you say that, and I agree, but I already know. Like, I know I'm ready for the UFC, Titan, whatever. I'm not afraid of anybody in this division, and I'm not afraid of anybody in the division below me, which is a 45-pound division where I usually stay. But, yeah, like you said, I think the only thing that this fight does is it shows people, because I already know myself that I'm ready for the big show. This shows the other people that, okay, Grant's legit, he's 8-0, he's killing everybody. Let's either A, get him a big opponent with big money, or B, let's put him in the UFC and let's, let him wreak havoc there. Well, yeah. This fight is a win-win situation for me.
That's the thing, it's as well. You said there about 145. Are you kind of thinking about maybe fighting 2 weight classes, or is it just because the way this fight came about, you were happy to do it this weight class, or are you thinking 145 is your future?
145 is definitely my future. I just hate cutting weight. So my manager came to me and said, hey, do you want this fight? It's at 55. You're better than him. He's tough, and he's not super big. I was like, yeah, please.
And also, I'm
going to be honest, I've never met Dave Burrow in person, but from what I've seen and people that he's matched up against that I've known, he looks like he should be a 45er as well. So I really think this is just 2 45ers who agreed to meet at 55. So
yeah, you had it on this card.
Don't bug me.
You had it on this card as well. You got 2 guys that are going at 125 as well. They can fight at 135. Nick Mamalis and Aaron Ely. The pair of them there, 125ers, but they both agreed. Thanksgiving, you just had Thanksgiving, so I think everyone should be given an allowance, an extra few poundage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that way they can enjoy it a little bit. And that's the other thing, too, when they told me about this fight, and they were like, it's at 55, first thing I thought was, all right, I get to eat.
Yeah, I remember seeing on it was like a little joke. I think Aljamain Sterling and Gian Valenti and all were having a bit of a giggle at Chris Weidman showing a picture of his Thanksgiving dinner, and it was just a pea on a plate, and it was.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, that you could have a bit of humour. And you think, yeah, that's pretty much what you probably did have, but. So 145, they have got some good guys in the 145 division at Titan that you can, if you can get yourself tested, against guys who are very well rounded in the sense of they are pushing for UFC as well. So if you're, if you don't get snapped up to the UFC, for example, if you have this fight and you smoke your opponent, imagine you. And UFC didn't sign you up straight away. You're still going to get. You've got to think they got Andre Harrison as champ at 145, and he's a tough guy to beat, and he's a tough guy to fight. So he's unbeaten as well. It's some great matchups in that weight class for you.
Yeah, like I said, I think I match up well with anybody. I'm not afraid of anybody. You mentioned Andre Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like Andre. I think he's really boring, honestly, but he's really, really tough, and everybody who's fought him has looked silly. So, I mean, yeah, he's definitely a tough matchup, but I don't care about Titan titles. I don't care about, being big in Titan. I care about being in the UFC.
Yeah.
So, the UFC says, hey, you beat Andre, you're in. You better believe that he's going down. If they say, hey, we want you to fight this chump, and you're in, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It's not about money. It's not about fame. It's about getting in the UFC and being the best in the best organization in the world. That's what it's about. And so just beating these guys up until I get there, that's just a bonus, honestly.
So to be the best, obviously, training is a big part of it and how you train and what you do. So where is it, are you doing anything specific? Do you go to somewhere specific for your jits? Do you do specific Muay Thai or boxing, or what are you doing then for your skill set to be as well rounded to be the best you can, to be the best in the UFC? Sorry, not to be the best you can, but to be the best there is.
I train in the same place every single day. Glory MMA and Fitness in Lee Summit, we have it all. We've got, a should-be black belt, James Krause. He's a brown belt right now. He's in the UFC.
Yes.
I mean, his jiu-jitsu is unbelievable. His gi jiu-jitsu, his no-gi jiu-jitsu, unbelievable. His striking is unmatched by anybody I've ever met. So I don't need to go different places and get different looks. I've got the best training partners and the best coaches here.
Yeah.
Right where I need them to be. So I'm not worried about, branching out at this point.
Yeah.
Now if, let's say I was set up to fight Andre, I would probably, pay to bring in a really, really legit strong wrestler, just to help get ready for that. But until that kind of fight shows up, I have everything I need with James Krause, Tim Elliott,
Yeah, you got Anthony Gutierrez. Yeah, Anthony Gutierrez. Yeah, you got a just a plethora of guys there. Really, they've got some good guys there, and like you say, James Krause, he's a top guy. We spoke to a few guys that train now, and it's nothing but good words, and you can see how well that team is performing with the results they're getting. You've got a hell of a lot of guys there that are doing really well. Not obviously just UFC, Titan. There's all other promotions that you guys are fighting on, and it's working. It's a winning formula.
Yeah, for sure. And we've got teammates that you guys have never even heard of that are right now could compete in the UFC for sure. Yazan Haji, he just went pro, but his skill level is where he could compete with any of the 35ers or 45ers in the UFC, and I get to train with him every single day, and people don't even know who he is, and he's a stud. Like, every day he comes in, kicks our butts, and then goes home. So
well, that's the thing.
It's not just the big names. The big names are we got James and them, but it's not just them. You don't just need good coaches. You need good teammates, and we have that too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys in here who are going to be big very, very soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many fighters just who are already at the moment competing it's impossible as well for likes of myself and everyone else to really know about the guys who are just starting out. You know, we do, me and Mike, we try to keep an eye on names, but do you know what, dude, you got to think how many guys there are. And this is what I like, though. I like to hear this. I like to hear a new name. So now I sit there and go, okay, then who is this kid? All right, where's he going to be fighting next? Let's see if I can get any footage, etc. And it's nice because then I think, right, okay, then let's maybe get him on. Let's have a chat with him when he's got a fight coming up, and just stuff like that. You know, get to know potential superstars in the sport. I like to get to know them like yourself. You're not UFC champion yet. There's potential for you to be champ there. So there you go. It's great to speak to you now before then. But I tell you what, it's hard to keep up with everyone. It's so hard because I've got a really small brain to remember everything as well. Unless you've got great tits and an ass, I'm probably going to forget your name.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about this sport that's growing. There's so many people coming in. It's not just, you know, these young guys. There's old guys coming in and tearing it up, like Robbie Lawler, who everybody thought was, you know, an exciting fighter, but not really that great. Now he's the UFC world champion, and I don't see anybody beating him for a long time. Yoel Romero is another one. How old is he? Like, I think he's almost 40.
Yeah,
he's beating the crap out of everybody.
He's a savage.
And that's why it's so hard, because this sport is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, and that makes it harder for even a lot of guys coming up.
Yeah, it does, but you got to think back in, say, 5 years ago, you would already probably be in the UFC with your record that you've got, but because the way the sport is now, you're not even there yet, even with the record you have. Do you know what I mean? That's how big the sport is. You know, you can have there's guys who have like a 10-0 record and they ain't even nowhere near probably getting on the UFC yet. Just maybe because of their style as well. But, you know, it's crazy. But to think that there's that many guys out there who have like your record or similar to it, and maybe some people we don't even know them. Like, you know, I only got to know about you, Grant, until this Titan card. You know, that's what I mean. It's so hard to keep up on top of everyone. But the good thing is, it's exciting then to see that there's that many guys out there with this much potential already doing stuff that we don't even know about.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's getting harder and harder because, you know, so many people are showing up. And the thing is, people are getting good everywhere. Rory McDonald, I mean, he was probably the very first guy who just went from, you know, nothing to MMA and is so well-rounded everywhere. But now, I mean, there's so many guys you can name off that are like in their 20s that are just studs. You know, Calvin Gastelum, I mean, he had a wrestling background, but he's so young and he's got, you know, he's a top contender in the UFC. Just competition is getting so much better, and that's good for our sport. That's going to make, I mean, it might not be very good for individual athletes because it's harder to stay in the big shows, but it's definitely good as a fan. I want to see, you know, two studs going at it and really beating the crap out of each other and seeing who's better.
Well, it raises your game as well if you think about it, because if you see how good they are, you then have got to say, well, I've got to be better than them. So it makes you then look at how you have got to evolve to be better than them. So I think it ups everyone's game who isn't there yet, which is what I think is so crazy. You got to think what we're seeing now in the UFC. There's guys like yourself who are not there yet, who are going to be wanting to develop their game greater than what's there already. So what the hell are we going to see when the next, say, generation, I call it, you know, the next wave of guys that come in, and girls to an extent, you know, it's like, it's going to be like watching The Matrix. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, the more it goes, the better people get, and the better people get, you got to step up your game. And the more you step up your game, the more your opponent has, and pretty soon it's just going to be like a bunch of superhumans fighting each other.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy. It definitely got good things going for our sport, for sure.
Hell yeah, and I can't wait to see some of the more highlight reels. I'm buzzing about it. And like I say, you're fighting as well. They're in front on Friday it's not 17th, isn't it? Not the 18th. I get mixed up with my dates now. That's how bad I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the UFC's on Orlando, you see, so that's why I get mixed up with the dates. Yeah, so you've got, you're fighting obviously Dave Burrow on UFC Fight Pass, so people can watch you as well and say, okay, there's a guy who's going to be probably on the next wave. It's great for people to see that, and I think people should be tuned in anyway to watch people come up and come. And I like to support all kind of levels of MMA really. And Grant, I think if people want to jump on and support you, they can do that via social media, I hope. So how can people join on to you with maybe Twitter, Facebook, and all that stuff?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter. My Facebook page is the best way to get a hold of me if you guys want to talk or see what I'm up to. I don't really get on Twitter a whole bunch, but you can follow me there. I got my fan page on Facebook, and it's just Grant Dawson, the Prophet. And then you can add me on Facebook. I'll probably add you. I mean, I pretty much add anybody who sends me a friend request, so send them on in.
Yeah,
but,
awesome.
And like you were saying with Fight Pass,
yeah,
this is going to be on Fight Pass, and there's going to be a lot of people watching, but I just hope one person's watching, and that's Sean Shelby, because he's going to realize that he needs to sign the next wave of guys, like you were saying, and I'm the king of those guys, so he needs to sign me, and he needs to sign me fast. Hey, man,
I've spoke to Sean in person at UFC Glasgow. We spent a few hours chatting away together, and it was great getting it was during the, not last Titan card before UFC Glasgow was on, and then the Titan card was on straight after. So we streamed it via his phone, and yeah, we were talking away about the fighters and the guys on the card and stuff. It was interesting to see what he said, man. It was certainly interesting, Grant. All I'll say is, if you keep doing what you're doing, just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, I'll just say that. And yeah, mate. What about sponsors? Have you got any sponsors out there?
Not really.
Haven't you? What? Say what?
I'm not. I focus more on training than I do sponsors. So
you don't like getting
really
free. You don't like getting free kit, dude. Getting free kit is awesome.
What's that?
You don't like getting free shorts and gloves? It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, D-Throne sends me stuff. They just send me kind of shorts and stuff, but they sponsor more of our gym.
Okay, then fair enough.
I guess I could throw a shout out to them if you want.
Dude, get some more stuff off them. And what about obviously we mentioned James Krause, we mentioned Zach Cummins, Tim Elliott. We mentioned a lot of guys. Do you want to give a shout out to anyone in particular, obviously, that you maybe train with for a lot more during this camp, or friends, family, people like that?
Yeah, I do want to give a quick shout out to my main training partner, Zach Long. He's an amateur. He just went pro, and he trains like a pro. He fights like a pro, and he was definitely one of the guys that I was talking about when I said an up and comer that nobody knows who he is. He's a stud. He helps me out a lot. He's in every day with me, grinding with me. So I want to give a big thanks to him. And then I just actually like to thank my girlfriend, Josie. She's wonderful. She's always encouraging me and helping me out with my training inside and outside of the gym. She's always just so supportive and wonderful, and I love her so much. And other than that, I mean, my parents, my coaches, everybody's helped me, my manager. There's so many people that go behind making an athlete such as myself, and you just can't thank them all, but they all deserve so much.
Now that was a lot of praise for your other half there. Is she next to you? Is she?
No. Actually, no, not tonight. This is the night she doesn't come in. So
okay.
This one's all me.
All right then. Hey, look, Grant. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your time having your debut with Titan and stuff like that. And I'll be tuning in. Mike will be tuning in. So it's going to be, you're definitely going to have eyes on you from the UK across the pond. I know we're not Sean Shelby, but you'll be getting some eyes on you anyway. So yeah, dude, it's going to be a great weekend. Have a great time.